Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all fine on this very fine Friday morning. Well, I've got Wads on the stream, so good morning.
Right, Dan, how are you?
I'll go well, mate. How are you?
Very good. Looking forward to the Chelsea game this weekend. Optimistic after the last several games, really. We've got a building now, haven't we? Get a result away from home would be nice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the last time you've been on, we actually won a couple of games, and yeah, we lost against Brentford, but we seem to find our way of playing now and find that mojo, which has been very nice.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be since Anfield. Because before that, we were all pretty confident that we weren't going to be able to stay up, and the mood was very low. And then out of nowhere, we go to Anfield and we put on a really good show. And we don't win, but I just think the pure shock of actually putting in a good performance away, not just an away performance, but against Liverpool. I just think it caught us all off guard, and I think we've used it as confidence. And then we go and actually get a win against Brighton, which was very special. Brighton may have got hammered by Everton since as well, but they've also beaten Wolves 6-0 and United. And before those games before they played us, overall they've been an excellent team this season. So to beat them like we did was incredible. And then, yeah, obviously the Southampton game was gigantic. We all knew it was going to be. It ended up being so. I don't think we can be too upset about the performance at this stage of the season, even though we conceded 3 goals. It's just getting the points now, and that's what we did. Got all three, which is the important thing. Obviously, before that, we had that Brentford game, which was just gutting. Um, you know, even though we've lost the last two away games still, it's still been ages since we got a point on the road. It kind of it doesn't feel like that because we've played so well in the last two away games, which probably says a lot about how bad we were that we're happy with the last two away games, despite the fact we lost them. But I do get why we go on about them because it is a platform for us to actually build on, and we've seen some positives now on the road that we can try and actually become a win or just a point at the very least. It would be nice, and we need to.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, it's just nice that we are sort of see that platform a lot more, and we are seeing that resetting that standard that we did have before the World Cup, which is great. And going into that Chelsea game as well, now we sort of pick up them wins and we put ourselves back into that position which staying up is in our control. It is you've got to be going into Chelsea thinking, yeah, they won one game out of quite a few games. We can do them and beat them or at least draw and keep this momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, everyone sees Stamford Bridge and Chelsea. Oh, that's a big game. We're not going to win there, but I don't think it's so much the case this season. You look at how poor Chelsea have been. It's not even just a cliche that they're struggling and we're saying, "Oh yeah, we can go and get something there." Like they have been that poor. Like they've been particularly bad at home as well. Like they've had some really tough games at home, losing to teams worse than us. They lost to Southampton at home. They lost to not Brentford aren't worse than us, but they lost to Brentford. You'd probably expect them to win that normally. Even Villa, they've lost games that you wouldn't expect Chelsea to lose typically, especially at home. So they're vulnerable this season, Chelsea, and I think there's lots of reasons for that. I think it's all gone downhill for them since their change of ownership. Um, you know, they won the Champions League, and then as soon as they get a new owner, they're in this mess. And I don't think that's really a coincidence. The amount of money that they've spent and it's not been working. They've done a similar thing to Forest, really. They've spent a lot of money, a lot more money on slightly less players, and they're finding the same difficulty in the fact that they need to gel, and it's difficult as it is just gelling. As we saw, it took us like half a season to. But Chelsea, they're not expected to just have a team immediately, but they're expected to have a team that they can then win things, and it was never going to be able to suffice in a season. And when you appoint Frank Lampard after already struggling, what do you expect? It's just going to become even worse. And yeah, I just don't think their ownership have a clue what they're doing. To be honest, like they just kind of bought the club on a whim, and they're realizing it's not as straightforward as they thought it would be to run a football club.
That's the thing, and it's like he came into football, well, into Chelsea thinking, oh, I can win it like
Yeah,
I win it my other businesses, and it's not straightforward like that in football, especially in the English leagues.
not at all. Like he's said so many stupid things. Todd Bowley, their owner. Remember when he first joined them, he apparently said, "I think we should play a 4-4-3 formation," which I don't know. I don't want to hurt your feelings, mate, but that's 12 players. It's not actually allowed in football. So yeah, I don't think that was a good start, really, was it?
It sounded like a Ted Lasso comment or something.
What was that? Sorry.
It sounded like a Ted Lasso comment.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at it, especially with the win on Monday, I mean, I don't know how your heartbeat was or how you felt after it, but I felt absolutely drained. I felt probably the same like I did after the Sheffield United playoff game, where I just felt so drained and my heart rate was like 120 beats per minute, and that was after the quarter to 11 after the game.
Yeah, there's lots of similarities to that Sheffield game actually. The magnitude of it, the fact that it was probably the last realistic chance of getting 3 points. Not that I don't think we can still. I think we can, having won that game in the way we did. It was just an electric atmosphere again, as it always is at City Ground. That's something that I think is firmly on our side compared to other teams in this relegation battle. Everton have turned on their team at times. Leicester have, Leeds have, West Ham have. And I don't think they're really in it anymore, but they have turned on their team. Southampton fans have, whereas we haven't. The whole time we've criticised players like Shelby and Wood and AU, but we've not like properly. There's not like, any banners or chanting at them, which I don't think can be said for other teams. Everton have been hammered a few times at home, and you see how their stadium empties like it's a fire drill. We haven't been hammered at home, thankfully, this season, so I can't quite compute that. But even away, we've had some awful games on the road, and we've not had the away end emptying within like half an hour. By the end of the game, it's still been pretty full, and yes, it's not wins, but at the very least, we've got strong support there. But yeah, when it comes to the actual game, as you say, it's those last 10 minutes were horrendous. Because in a blink of an eye, I've genuinely thought we've scored 5 goals in the Premier League here. Couldn't believe it. And then suddenly it's 4-3. We can see the penalty, which shouldn't have been a penalty in my opinion. And yeah, suddenly we're holding on. I don't know why the ref was dragging it out so long, because it definitely was longer than 7 minutes. But yeah, I was that second half, I was pretty confident we were going to hold on to it, because we always looked the better team, and Southampton were definitely threatening. Right, the start of that second half, they were dominating us, and it was pretty off-putting, really. Like, I thought, come on, lads, we had a 2-goal advantage here. Are we really letting it slip away? And then we picked up, got that goal from Danilo, who's a star for us of late. And then suddenly 2 goals up, Felipe does what he does, brilliant as ever, and it's gutting that he didn't actually count for him, because he deserves a goal more than anyone. And then suddenly, like I say, it's 4-3, and then we've got to hold on. And yeah, it's just wave of the wave of Southampton attack, and yeah, in that situation, I agree going low block, but I'm pleased that we didn't throughout the game. We let Southampton back into it, and then we go and score again. We technically had a 3-goal advantage for a few moments, but yeah, it was stressful as hell, very stressful, but a huge result.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was just nice to see 4 goals in the Premier League. I mean, I worked out something like 10 goals in the last 4 games or something. I worked out, which to say that we could score 10 goals over 30 games, that's 10 goals in 4 games. We seem to like find that blend and that mojo now going forward.
Yeah, I think yeah, even when we picked up in January time and we got up to like 13th, and that kept us out the relegation zone all the way until March. And obviously, February and March were pretty tough for us. We all were turning on like the idea of staying up. Even then, we weren't as free flowing as we are right now. Like we're playing the best football yet right now, I'd say. You know, because the games before Brighton, well, actually technically less, they were all 1-0s, scrappy 1-0s, which are wins. But you know, it's you would like to see us win in a bit more style occasionally. And you know, the last two games we certainly have. We've scored 3 and 4 goals, and you know, um, we haven't scored 4 goals in a league game since last season. I think it would have been when we beat
Wow.
Swansea,
Yeah,
actually,
Swansea,
or West
yeah.
Brom, which is that's about a year ago. So yeah, it was just nice to see us score 4 goals. Like I know we did it against Blackburn in the cup, but in the league, was particularly important. So and against a team struggling like us ultimately are still struggling. Only thankfully, unlike most of the teams around us, we definitely have the upper hand on them at the moment in terms of form and togetherness, I think, and belief. All that I think is going in our favour.
Mm. Yeah, I was saying on Monday at half time, I couldn't remember last time we scored 3 goals down West Brisbane then, but then I worked out the West Brom game when we did it.
Is it that long ago? Wow. Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably is though, isn't it? It is. Yeah, there wouldn't have been any other time, would there?
Ah, but it was nice. I mean, fair play on them for doing it. I mean, Danny just, I mean, as you said earlier, he was a star man at the minute, and since he came in, since people like sort of brought him into it gradually, now he's reaping the rewards of it all.
Mm.
Stuck 3 goals, and he just seemed to find his best position now.
Yeah, it was a weird first couple of months for him because when he came in, he was meant to be this defensive midfielder, and he played a couple of times, and then he was kind of dropped from the team. He wasn't even on the bench. One game, I believe, I think it was against Fulham, but he just wasn't on the bench at all. Not sure whether he had an issue or anything, but yeah, he had a run of games where he struggled to get into the team, or he might have come on as a sub. I think he was one game where he got dragged at half time,
Mm.
um, which I think it was Leeds actually,
Yeah, Leeds, yeah.
which I remember at the time thinking, I'm not sure why Coopers took him off. Obviously, in the moment, it didn't matter because we won that game. But yeah, I think it was the game before we played Leeds away from home. Wolves, I think, was it, where Danilo came in to the starting
Yeah.
11. And then he's been in the starting 11 ever since, and he's been a star every time. And obviously the first few games where he was starting in this run, we were still losing, but he was one of the bright sparks for sure. And then obviously, thankfully we changed stuff, the system and formation, and that's really got the best out of Danilo. And his performances have actually been able to earn a few points and wins. And all of a sudden, this CDM that we signed from Palmeiras is an attacking midfielder, and I think it was desperately needed. Really, I'm glad that Cooper's seen the light. That I'm sure he could play as a CDM, but he's got so much about him to be an attacking midfielder because of that pace and that flair that he's got and that attacking drive that he's got. He's just a classic Brazilian footballer. Like so much excitement to his game. Um, and I think with the injuries, honestly, the end of the player, completely different players. But in terms of like attacking mindset that we had was O'Brien, and now we haven't got O'Brien. It's like we needed to replace. We needed to find that attacking kind of player in midfield because if you look at everyone else, like Yates isn't, Mangala isn't, Freuler isn't, Duarte isn't, Shelby wasn't, but he's not going to play for us again. And Danilo is the only one that could have done that. And I'm glad that we've got that focal point now in midfield that, we've got a guy that can break from midfield and, assist Gibbs White and Brennan and Taiwo and then get goals himself. It's 3 games now, 3 goals. It's great that we're not just having to rely on Johnson now for the goals.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. And it's just that front five. I mean, I know we all know Mangala going to be the one holding
Yeah,
in that pivotal that formation, but it's like with Danilo getting forward as much as he is. Yates is Yates. He will get up and down like a little Jack Russell. Johnson just right at one knee. Them three attackers. So to have that five where you think, yeah, that's probably our best five going forward. And Mandala holding, it is quite good, and they are keeping players like Clarkey out, Fuller. I mean, I know Clarkey's coming back from injury, but to keep Fuller out, who's been that mainstay in that team, I mean, it is quite good to see that we probably are find our best team, and we are finding that consistency now.
yeah. It's took us long enough, hasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it took us till like mid-April to find an actual balance to the team and system. But I think it's great that we're ending the season in the way we are, seemingly, and then we can take that into next season, hopefully. And obviously, I'm sure Forest being Forest, they're going to make signings in the summer. We need to, and it's you never know what we're going to do. You never know when we're going to go mental again. We're not going to sign 30 players, but I'm sure we'll probably sign more than you'd expect us to. So we have to get ready for that. But
Mm.
point is at least we've got a nice balance now, Premier League balance. It's not like we're coming into the season with like 10 registered players. All the others have left because they were on loan or they weren't good enough, or the contracts are out. Like, we've got two loanees, one with the option to buy, one is definitely not going to go back to his parent club in Henderson. And then obviously we've got players like Ayer and Lingard, the contracts expiring. We've got players like Colback and who's expiring, but I'd be surprised if they both leave. Like even Colback,
I think
I've
Ori got a clause in his contract where if still he can extend.
yeah, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't stay. If you look at how into it he is, that video that he the other day, I just love that video. Serge just absolutely loving it. There's no way that he's not invested in this club, so I'd be very surprised if he doesn't stay with us. And we really need him to stay because he's excellent. Yeah, there's areas that this team will need to improve in the summer for sure. Like I still think we need to get a strong striker to help Tyro out. Maybe another midfielder, definitely another right back. With the situation we're in now, there's not really anyone else besides Serge, unless Joe Wall becomes this stunning right wing back.
But
Yeah, but that's obviously for the summer. We'll look forward to that. But it is good that we're ending the season positively, seemingly. Job's not done at all yet, but we're in a strong position now. And like we're saying with the midfield, I think we've all been. I think the midfield is the area we debated the most in terms of the
yeah,
strongest
yeah.
area. Like I think we've all most of the season said, yeah, we should have Yates there, but then we've all been 50-50 on Froiler and even Mangala at times. Obviously, we didn't have Danilo at first, Curate, all them, and it's great that we've finally found a balance. That Mangala's finally got some consistency and some fitness. Yates has been really unlucky with his fitness as well, but he's finally back. I know some people have slagged him off for his last game, which I just don't understand at all. It's his first start in like 6 weeks, and he was out for about the same amount of time before that initial start previously. So did you really think he was going to be like, rock solid? He was never going to be perfect. And like we said, Danilo, he's been that key in midfield, and obviously Foyler's dropped off, and Cuate's coming back now. He's a good option for us. Apart from when he's defending a wall, we need to work on that, Cuate. But yeah, it's nice that we finally found that balance.
Yeah, definitely. And touching on Yates, I nearly said that and nearly had to say one. But touching up on Yates, I mean, man, more Ori and a couple of the players doing it on Monday, which I love was to getting the crowd going. I mean, I think every
Yeah,
time Yates went past, say like Bridgeford and Ori were doing it down not Trent, and then Brian Clough. They were just getting the fans going, which
Yeah.
they know how massive it is.
I just love it when I see players do that. Like a lot of people debate, oh, did the players care? Are they bothered? Yeah, from this group of lads, you can tell they all are fully invested. Even Lingard, some people would look on the outside thinking he's just there for the wage, but he may not be playing, and that's probably down to his fitness and form. But you look at how invested he still is in that match day pass video Forest did. He didn't even come on. He wasn't even warming up in that game. I don't remember him warming up, and he was just as happy as everyone else. So, I'm really happy that Jesse's at the very least invested in the project, even though I'll be very surprised if he stays
Things
here.
like that, and a few matchday passes, how he's been feeling for his
Yeah,
side.
now, this is why I don't, I don't have a bad thing to say about Link. Have I cut out there? No.
No, you still going.
Okay, good. um, yeah, so I don't have a bad thing to say about Lingard because, like, even though he's not performed, we all thought he was going to be this star for us, and it's not worked out for him. But because of how like good he's been behind the scenes and how well spoken he's been about Forest, I don't think he's at all like Shelby, where I don't think anyone can stand Shelby at the moment with how he's been at the club as well as his performances. But at least Lingard, we've seen the effort and the interest. So yeah, fair play to him for that at the very least. But he's not going to be here next season.
Mm. No, definitely. And I said it, quite a few Man United fans came to me and I said about Lingard. I went, off the pitch, been brilliant if I was been. Well, it's on the
Yeah,
pitch, not really kicked on, which it's been a shame. But yeah, I mean, completely agree with you on that one. And it is great to see, to be fair, how they have been like
yeah,
around the place. And you see all the passes and all the reels that they could putting on other players. And you think, yeah, we're up for it. They actually putting. You see how much
yeah.
it means to them.
I mean, a classic example of that is Biancom. Like, he's not even kicked a ball for us since about October, and before that, he hardly got a look in. He's only made one start in the League Cup against Grimsby, you know, and like he seems just as invested as some of the lads that are playing. Like, I'm really excited to see what he can do for us.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he does get a chance next season because I think he did well whenever he played. He was unfortunate not to play more when he was fit, and then he just gets his injury. Like, fair, he's been tweeting a lot about how excited he is to play for Forest again, and he's not even played at the City ground yet. Biancon, I think people forget about that. Like, it's mad. He's not even played at his home ground yet, but yeah, it's just great to see players that aren't playing, players that are playing every week are just as interested as each other, which is great. That's team spirit.
And I love Hendo, to be fair. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
even what people have been saying about him, and you see him on the match day passes, even though he got injured, he had his surgery and he went back to Man United, all this, all that. He still be coming down and actually getting down the balls, and that presence he has in changing room. It's just nice to see that even the lone boys are really interested. Like there was last season, that even Henderson, who's played at Man United, played in European Cup games and all that, is
Mm.
that interested in the club.
Yeah, I love Henderson. It's gutting that he's been injured since what February time, January. It's really sad. Um, yeah, I'm just really sad about his injury. I still would sign him for
Yeah.
sure. Navas has come in and done his job. He's made some pretty big mistakes, but he's made some vital saves. I think everyone can say without Navas, he'd probably be relegated already. Um, even though he's made mistakes, but any goalkeeper will make mistakes. But I think especially at the age he is and the level he's at in his career, he was never going to be perfect necessarily.
Mm.
It now makes sense signing Navas. I wasn't sure why we're signing this high-profile goalkeeper when we got Henderson, but it makes sense now because Henderson's been out for so long, which is really sad. But like we say, he's very invested in us. I think he clearly wants to stay here, And I think we're having the same conversation this time last year about Spence and Garner and Zink and Davis, but I think the situation's a bit different then because obviously we weren't even we didn't know if we were going to be a Premier League club or not. We had to spend the money on so many other areas in the team, and I think now we've got that platform, we've got that year's worth of experience in the Premier League. Players know what to expect in the Premier League with Forest now. And I do also think it was just a lot of bad luck. Like, Davis didn't end up coming to Forest. I think Garner wanted to, but then he couldn't. Spence didn't really want to, seemingly. But you look at Loddy. We've already got the option to buy, and that's the thing with those 5 loan lads last year. We didn't have the option to buy on any of them, whereas we do with Loddy. I don't really think he's got a future at Atletico. So yeah, I think Loddy will come back. Not just because I wanted to, but I think having that option to buy is vital in terms of making these loans permanent. I know Henderson hasn't got that option to buy, but looking at his future at Man United, I think it's very unlikely he's going to go back there, even with David De Gea struggling like he is. I don't think it's going to be a thing for Henderson. And thankfully, we've only got 2 loanees to worry about, and like I say, one of them has already got the option in there. So that's good. And obviously, like we say, some contracts expiring. Serge, I'd be very surprised if he leaves. I don't know about Colback. I think if he'd been playing these last few months, he probably would have stayed. But his injury might play a part potentially in him not staying, which would be another long-serving player leave for us. And yeah, I don't see Andre Ayew or Jesse staying. But yeah, that's for the summer to the bunk, isn't it, really? There's lots to look forward to in that.
Yeah. Mark said about morning lads, big game tomorrow. Can come away with at least a point. I'd be more than happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it says about Jalen's a clear playing big part of the team, even when he's not playing end of the season. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I imagine Cookie is as well, especially with his tweets.
Yeah, that was what a bit of entertainment on Bank Holiday that was. So funny.
He got him some legendary status now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not even played for us for months, but always got respect for Cook. But looking at that Twitter thread, it was hilarious, really.
Oh, it was quality.
Ripping into Derby fans. It's funny.
Yeah, definitely. How many points would you take this next 3 games for us to stay up?
I think we need at least a couple more. Like realistically, Palace is our best chance, but it's away from home. That could change if we get something at Chelsea. If we get anything at Chelsea, then I'd be pretty confident we could get a win at Palace, quite frankly. But Arsenal, even at City going, I think it's going to be very tough to beat them. So I would say 3, but I'm not sure whether it's realistic. But if we can just get two draws, honestly, I think that'll be enough. Because if you look at the other teams around us, yes, they're only 3 points off us, like Leeds and Leicester, but ultimately they're in much worse form than us. They're not as together as us as a fan base and a team, seemingly, and they've got harder runnings than us, I'd say. So I know Everton seem to maybe be more safe than those two, having beaten Brighton like they did, but Leicester look a mess again. Leeds certainly are a mess, even with Big Sam. I don't see them getting wins from those games. So yeah, I think we're in the driving seat, hopefully. So I think 2 or 3 points should be more than enough, hopefully, for us.
Touch wood. When we get in the wheel of dancing, Dilly Danny, so it's in the parkland.
Yeah, that's got to happen. That
Yeah. Have we got a score prediction for tomorrow?
I'm gonna go for a very bold 1-1 draw at
Oh,
Stamford
very
Bridge.
cool.
I'll be very, very happy with that. Even though Chelsea are poor this season, it's still Chelsea to see us draw with them away. Given how bad our away form is, would be incredible, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can see a draw, but I think we could nick it as well. That's sneakily.
Oh yeah, I want to see Nick. Yeah, absolutely, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. They would say about your socials.
Yeah, everyone please come and subscribe to Rads. I'm nearly at 5,000 subscribers, about 250 off it. So please come and help me out. And my Twitter's here. So yeah, please do that. Subscribe to Dan as well. Get what are you trying to get to, Dan? 2K, 3K?
I'm trying to get up to 3K at the minute, which
Yeah,
it's good, slowly getting there.
yeah. Subscribe to Dan, everyone.
Thank you. Do subscribe to Rad's channel. It is in the title. It does get the Future certified as usual, guys.
There you go. That's all I need to know.
Alright. Marks of 1-all for me to Caro again, assisted by Jono, which they shot.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming on as per usual.
No problem. Up the Reds.
Up the heads. Thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.